Now, buying a travel cover to protect your precious golf clubs on their travels can be a really tricky purchase, especially considering the range of prices in the market. Luckily for you, we've tested 6 of the best models from the specialist brands in this field to help you decide. Okay, so I'm going to crown our 6 travel bags in 3 categories: best for value, best for protection, and best for overall usability. I've got 4 with me here in Madeira at the beautiful Santo de Serra Golf Club, and we've got 2 models hot stepping their way to Orlando, Florida at the minute with 2 of my colleagues. Let's talk about them now. Let's get the basics out of the way before we get stuck into them. So in alphabetical order, we've got the Amazon Basics travel cover, which I'm really excited to talk about. We've got the Big Max Traveler. We've got the McGregor VIP travel cover. Over in the States at the minute, the Motor Caddy Flight Safe. 2 final ones here. We've got the Sun Mountain Cube. And finally, stood up here next to me, the Sun Mountain Glider. So that's the 6 we're going to be looking at. I'm going to start off first with the best value. Okay, so first category we're going to chat about is the best value, because let's admit it, some of these travel covers are an eye-watering price, £200 and above. I'll come on to why they are in a minute, but what are the best value out of the 6 that we've chosen? I'm going to chat about 2. That's the McGregor VIP travel cover and the Amazon Basics. So the Amazon Basics is just over £50. The McGregor's £75, but I know they're normally about £50 on their website. So both very, very similar. And I think for the non-season traveler, if you're going out there once a year or less and need a travel cover, that's where these guys come into their own. Just because they're cheap doesn't mean they're not protective. They've protected our clubs out here to Madeira and out in the States. They've got plenty of pockets on them. The Amazon's got 2 on the outside. This McGregor one's got a really useful one on the front here, which you can put a pair of shoes in. And all in all, they're built really well. Not as well as the more expensive ones, I'm not going to pretend that, but for a flight or 2 a year, they're going to do a good job. And we know they get battered around a little bit. You can see a few war marks on the McGregor already. That's probably because of the slight cheapness in the materials. But look, we've got some extra padding in the top. We've got the pockets, we've got the clips. You can strap your bag in. The wheels are nicely protected. There's some like the Big Max, which I'll come on to, where the wheels are a little bit exposed. These are protected. I expect these things to actually last for a while. And for 50 quid, they're really, really good value for money. So as I said, if you're traveling once or twice a year, even less, but you need a cover, the McGregor VIP or the Amazon will get you there. And I'm going to pick a winner. It's going to be the McGregor simply because I think it looks a little bit better. The Amazon Basics has no branding on it. It's just a plain grey bag. I think this McGregor looks really sharp with a bit of blue and a bit of writing on it. So yeah, I think there's some real good value to be had there in the travel bag market. So my next category is going to be all about protection. Listen, this is what these things are built to do. So which is the best at actually protecting your golf clubs on those pretty treacherous journeys through airports and through baggage handling? Now, first caveat, none of these, the 4 here and the 2 in America at the minute, were bad. They've all protected our clubs really, really well. As I mentioned, perhaps the Big Max and the McGregor are wearing a few early war wounds from our first travel from a bit of mishandling, but all of them have done a really good job. But I'm going to point out 2 that are the absolute standouts at protecting your golf clubs, which is the Sun Mountain Cube, which is all folded up just here, and the Motor Caddy Flight Safe. Now, these have got 2 really, really clever innovations in them that help protect your golf clubs and also give you a bit of a storage benefit as well. But you can see with the Sun Mountain, this sort of hard shell it's encased in is a mixture of part of the storage feature of it. As you can see, when it's not in use, you get this beautiful cube shape out of it. And then when it's unfolded, you've got this hard case shell at the top and the bottom of the bag that protect the woods at the top end and the bag at the bottom, which I think is just brilliant. And having that extra peace of mind is really useful. We'll look over at the Motor Caddy now, which has a very, very similar system, a sort of a cube that covers the top of the clubs, which gives you that extra protection. Then when it's folded up, it goes into a nice cube. So I think from Sun Mountain and Motor Caddy, 2 really cool innovations, recent innovations in this part of the market that give you that extra protection and peace of mind. The Big Max, although I haven't been so impressed with some elements of it, the wheels look a bit flimsy and there's a couple of bits that I don't think are the highest build quality. It has got a really unique and clever padding system that protect those clubs. Now I know some people when they travel like to put towels or clothes in here and sort of do that anyway to protect the top of the clubs, but that bag's got it built in. I think that's really, really useful actually, and I like that a lot. And then if we look at the stuff like the McGregor and the Amazon are definitely weaker on protection. The padding on top of here really isn't as thick as you can see on here, on the Sun Mountain glider, where that's going to really absorb any sort of energy that's going through the bag as it travels through. So bear that in mind. I think, again, if you're the more regular traveler or you really want to protect your clubs, not that these don't, but something like the Sun Mountain and the Motor Caddy especially are going to protect them the best. Now, I was going to pick a category winner between the two, but I can't. They're both really, really good, and I love that innovation of that hard case shell around the key area of the bag. So if protection is your number one priority, the Sun Mountain Cube and the Motor Caddy Flight Safe are the way to go. Okay, so my final main category is going to be focusing on usability, i.e. how easy are these to use as you travel through the airport and as you go on holiday with your golf clubs. And again, they're all really good. There's just some key features I want to bring out in a couple, and I've got to start with the Sun Mountain Glider. You can see it here next to me with this unique system of these pull down legs that make this thing so easy to pull through the airport and on wherever you're traveling to with these things. Oftentimes you can find yourself pulling it with just one finger. It's that easy, and I still get people to this day in the airport sort of giving it looks and going, oh, what's that, where did you get it from? Because of how easy this is. We've all had one of these type of bags packed to the rafters at your full 20 kg or 23 kg, and your shoulder by the end of the day of traveling is aching like no one's business. But this thing takes away all of that. So that is an absolute standout feature, and there is no other bag quite like it. The one caveat with that is it is a little heavy. This bag is already 5 kilograms before you put anything in there. So if you value a lightweight bag where you can pack loads of extra stuff in there like shoes and toiletries and clothes, a more lightweight option like the McGregor at about just over 2 kilos and the Sun Mountain Cube at 3 kilos, you've got an extra 2 or 3 kilos there versus this thing. But you know, if you struggle to pull these things and you get an achy shoulder before your golf trip, the Sun Mountain Glider for usability is just, it's glorious, and I can't recommend it enough. Some other really good features across other bags. The Motor Caddy, which we've spoken about, and the Cube have this brilliant folding mechanism here that when you're not using it, so when it's at home, it's not taking up all the space that these kind of bags do. And even when you try and fold these up, they get a bit messy, don't they? They're a bit all over the place. These things are nice and contained, so when you're at home off your holiday, or even while you're at the hotel or the villa, wherever you're staying, these things can get nicely out of the way. So if that's something you're looking for, easier storage, the Cube and the Flight Safe are brilliant for that. The Flight Safe, I will note as well, has some extra wheels, I think about 6. So my colleague who's been testing it says that's an absolute breeze to pull as well, much like the Glider, not quite with those unique legs. Finally, for usability is pockets and storage space. We're trying to get the most stuff in these bags that we can, right, for our allotted weight, which is normally 20 or 23 kilos, depending on who you're flying with. And pockets are really important. So a few disappointments. Both the Sun Mountain ones don't really have great pockets for me outside of the storage already in there. So on the Glider, you've got this outside pocket here, which you can fit some bits in. The Cube has 2 inside pockets that like fit a shoe each, which is fine, I guess, but it's not a lot. When you compare it to the McGregor, which has this really useful outside pocket for a pair of shoes, I think the Big Mac stands out for pockets actually. You've got 2 inside pockets that are both accessible from the outside. This red zip here, you can get into that inside pocket from the outside. So if you've shoved something you need in there, you can go and get it from the outside. And there's 2 on the outside which fit, you know, shoes or anything more like that. So there are some really usable options on the market at the minute. I think depending on what you're looking for, you'll find the right one for you. But for me, an absolute standout. And if you're not too worried about weight, if you've got another checked bag, you just want the most enjoyable experience of using a travel cover, the Sun Mountain Glider is an absolute winner. So, you know, if you're not seasoned, you've got a bag. If you're a seasoned traveler, you've got a bag. But what would I spend my money on? Now, I've used all these bags at least once. I've been using the Big Macs to travel out here to Madeira this week, which I've enjoyed, but I wouldn't say it's particularly great value for money. At 150 quid, the materials don't feel anywhere more better than the McGregor, to be honest, which is about £100 cheaper. So if it was my money, and if I was traveling my golf clubs, I would pick the Sun Mountain Cube. I've done 3 or 4 journeys with this now, and I absolutely love it. For me, it's more lightweight, just over 3 kilos means I can load it with more stuff, shoes and toiletries and whatever else I'm bringing with me, which is important for me. I want to be able to max out my storage in that. And I love the extra protection and the way it folds up. So when I'm in the hotel or wherever I'm staying or back home, folds away nice and neatly and is put away there. So I think That's what I would go for. And there's some great options across that price spectrum, depending on what your budget is and what kind of features you want. I think getting the right travel cover for you will make your traveling experiences a lot easier. And I hope you've enjoyed this view behind me here in Madeira that's inspired you to go traveling with one of these great travel covers.